Peace in, everyone. My name is Trey MacVelle, and this is The Movie Pie. Welcome, my fellow film fans, or the Triple F Squad, as I like to call it. Today, we will be answering the question, what is the movie pie? As I introduce it to you in this particular video. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Trey MacVelle, and I am a writer. I am a writer of primarily fantasy. In fact, this year, December 2018, I'll be coming out with my the first book for my fantasy series. But I've always been a writer, and I've always been a fan of fandom. So that is fantasy, anime, movies, all types of stuff. But today we're talking about the movie aspect of my enjoyment. And I am a film fan. And I've always been a film fan. I've always loved movies. Overall, I love stories. And I grew up watching movies, going to the theaters with my family and friends. And of course, I grew up talking about movies with other film fans. And so leading up until today, I want to share with you basically a little bit about how I came up with the movie pie. And it will help to, in order to really explain what the movie pie is or to introduce it to you, it will help to explain how I got to the place where I felt the need to create the movie pie system. And this will be the first first video in a 3-part series that really explains the everything that you need to know regarding the movie pie. For a while now, the film fan community has had kind of an all or nothing kind of attitude. Either a movie they like, you would find people liking every single thing about the movie, or conversely, a movie that they hate, you would find them liking or disliking everything about the movie. And I've always felt that was a little bit, not true in the sense that, I don't necessarily need to like everything about a movie in order for me to like a movie. And it kind of has spurred a lot of negativity within the film fan community, because you would see if, anybody says, hey, I like this movie that everybody loves, that everybody hates, they get attacked, or vice versa. If, people say, I hate this movie that everybody loves, they get attacked. And I never really cared for that type of mentality. And, for me, I saw this mostly through the comic book fan community, the DC versus Marvel, arguments and whatnot. And I kind of fell right in the middle of the ring in this conflict when a particular movie came out 2 years ago. And that movie, folks, is Batman v Superman. Of course, if you know, this movie was very divisive. But for me, I am also a comic book fan as well as a film fan, and I was anticipating this movie, for the longest time. I'm a huge Batman is, one of my favorite characters in all of fiction. And I have been waiting to see Batman and Superman on a big screen for quite some time. So it was certainly my most anticipated movie of 2016. And here's the thing. The first time I saw the movie, I was utterly confused. I did not know how to, articulate exactly what I thought about the movie. I had so many thoughts about the movie, and I did not have a positive experience. And let's see, to say the least, I should say. And so as I, kind of talk with friends and family and, searched online to kind of get people's understanding as to what their thoughts about the movie, to kind of help understand a little bit more about what my thoughts were about the movie. What I was finding was that, nothing quite came up to standards for me, at least to help me understand what I thought about the movie. And so long story short, I ended up, realizing that, man, there really isn't a system that adequately described my feelings and thoughts about the movie. And what I found is that anyone who was giving Batman v Superman a positive review, then some fans will call them WB sellouts, and anybody that was conversely giving that movie a negative review, people were saying that they were DC haters. And I was like, man, I'm neither one of those things, but I really want to express my feelings about this movie. But all of this negativity just made me even more so want to solidify my conclusions on this film, because I saw that no one was really speaking to what was on my mind about Batman v Superman. And so this led me to create the movie pie. The movie pie, if you ask, what is it? It is a detailed movie reviewing system that I created to do at least 3 things. The first is it's designed to break down what I consider to be the 6 major components of any given film. The second is it's meant to share our real and honest feelings and thoughts about each of those components. And hopefully the third thing is that, for us to have a more healthy and respectful, constructive conversation about the movies we love and dislike. So how do I do this? I equate reviewing movies to how I would review a pie. What I've learned, and this sounds crazy, but please go with me here. What I've learned in the film critic community is it's actually much similar to the food critic community. They have a lot in common, besides both of them being critics, of course. I also see that they have a lot in common in the way that they review their subjects. So technically, I could have used any type of food, but I chose pie because I love pies. And I actually, believe it or not, in my wedding, I had a wedding cake and a wedding pie. That tells you how much I love pies. I like cake too, but I like pie better. But also, the reason why I chose pie is because, as you will see, a pie, it has the best components that translates well over to films. Here are 6 of the main components a food critic might review a pie by. The first is the structure of the pie, and that's the ingredients that make up the pie. The second is the spectacle of the pie, and that's basically how a pie looks or how the pie is presented. The third is the smell of the pie, and that is how the pie smells, of course, significant, especially if the aroma complements the pie and makes one craves the pie. The fourth is the temperature of the pie. The temperature should complement the pie based on the type of pie that it is. And so this is extremely important. Some pies are made to be a little bit colder, and some pies are made to be fresh and warm. And so the temperature is an extremely important part of the pie. You don't want to put a pie in your mouth to eat it and all of a sudden it burns, or it's not cold enough, or, whatever the case may be. The fifth is the texture of the pie. This is also very important. So what the pie feels like while eating it. And the 6th component that a food critic might use to judge a pie is, of course, the taste of the pie. What does the pie taste like, all the way from disgusting to delicious? So if you remember, as I mentioned earlier, I believe that movies also have 6 major components by which we judge them, either through one or all of these components. The first is the screenplay, and I equate that to kind of like the pie structure. The second is the performances. I equate that to kind of like the temperature of the pie. The third is the visuals, and I equate that to, of course, the spectacle of the pie. And the fourth is the audio, and I equate that to like the smell of a pie. The fifth is the direction, and I equate that to the texture of a pie. And the 6th is, of course, the experience, and I equate that to the taste of a pie. Of course, there are a lot more components to a movie, just like there are a lot more components to food critics and, a pie or whatever the case may be. But these are the 6 that I selected that I see to be the major ones, the most important. And I call all of these components slices because just like, you can have 6 individual slices to make up a whole pie, these are what I consider to be the 6 slices to make up a whole movie. By now, hopefully you have a better idea on what the movie pie is. However, you probably would like to know more about the scoring system of the movie pie. So continue on to the next video where I break down the 3 parts of the MoviePie scoring system if you would like to know more about it. Or if you feel like you have a pretty good understanding on what the MoviePie is, or if you simply just prefer to jump right into an episode, click right here to go right on up to an episode of the MoviePie.